All right, hey everybody, hey Slabb here. So, as I was going through some cleaning in the basement, pardon me, found this here time capsule. This is an Esso Imperial Oil binder that is empty now. I emptied it, but it had all of the random things that you find and hold on to from back in the age when people used print media to share ideas. Okay, so I pulled all that stuff out, and I figured we're gonna go over it here. Actually, I'll finish with that one, and just talk about what I found in this strange thing. Some of these things are really old here. All right, we're gonna start with this one here. This is an article from the National Post, Monday, October 11th, 1999, Canadian newspaper here, and this is on the Hart family's training facilities. I think that is that Ross there? Who is this? Bruce Hart, pardon me. Doing some instruction. Some fellas there. Just a little article. Somebody sent me that Stu Hart. Used to run the training out in Calgary, Alberta. Really big figure in the history of pro wrestling in Canada, for those who care about such things. But really phenomenal story of how they made their own territory and that sort of thing. If you're into pro wrestling, read up about the Hart family if you can. Interesting stuff. Okay, now we got this guy here. This is from Stuff Magazine. We got a date on this. I got Starsky and Hutch in there. I don't know. But this is also on the field of pro wrestling. This was about the power plant, WCW's power plant, and the sort of training that they did there. 10 to 11:30, push-ups, squats, 4 or 500 sets of 50. Sit-ups, only 200 with your knees bent against the ring ropes. Leg lifts, about 190-degree reps in the ring apron. 6 inches, a 10-minute medieval torture session in which you plant your butt on the edge of the ring while laying flat under the ropes. You then extend your legs outside the ring with your feet 6 inches above your waist. Wind sprints, lunch, you like tuna. Cute. Just whole little article on there. More pro wrestling stuff. Way back when, I had a girlfriend, right? A lovely lady. And she gave me a Diamond Dallas Page poster. And she says, I don't know who you like, but this was in a magazine of hers that she had. So she thought I wanted a DDP poster back then, which was real cute. So thanks for that. If you come across my YouTube channel, apologies for whatever happened. Okay, on to other stuff here. This is from Maxim magazine, 1999. Hercules in Vegas. This is an article about a strongman competition that they ran out there. They covered phenomenal sorts of lifts, logs and cars and what have you, lifting tires. And I read this article 2, 3, 4 times there. It's got an advertisement on the back for what is this? Half-Life from Sierra Studios, developed by Valve. So whatever that means. But not a bad little article. Again, it's funny how some of those things they treat the diet of an athlete as the only thing. Of course, a strong man's going to be eating like 10,000 calories a day. Good for them. But you want to maintain a muscular weight of, 300-400 pounds. You need a lot of fuel in the tank, right? Okay. That's sort of the glossy stuff. That's less important. These guys here, this is printed out, what is this? April 13th. I'm going to go, 2007. 2007. So this is only 13 years old. These are workout of the day from CrossFit. I printed a handful of them out to give them a go when I needed something different. And these are Bob Hoffman's strength standards, if I remember correctly. And this is the idea that depending on your weight and strength, what an experienced lifter should be able to do. So, for example, here, you're a fella who weighs 220 pounds. You're looking at the press, right? Straight overhead press, I guess. If you're an untrained individual, the expectation is you should be able to push about 90 pounds, right? And for an advanced lifter, someone who knows their way around, you're looking at lifting, something like 180 pounds. And if you're exceptional, you're closing in on 250. The thing that was interesting about these guys, if I remember the source of this properly. Oh, this is Kilgore, Riptoe, and Pendlay. Whoops. This ain't Bob Hoffman at all. This is Kilgore, Riptoe, and Pendlay. Anyways, the thing that's nice about these, they give people some realistic numbers to shoot for. If you're somebody like my friend in the previous video who does not know what an expectation is, you take kind of an idealized weight. Let's say you got to get a bit of extra mass on you, right? A couple of us do. You say, okay, so if I had a body weight percentage of whatever, slightly more musculature than I do currently, what is an expectation for me to be able to lift properly? And then you run it through and you say, okay, well, you got 275 and 319 pounds. I'm closer to one of those than the other. Where am I going to start? And the answer here is about 95 pounds. If you never lifted weights before and you're weighing somewhere around 275 to 320, you can probably handle 80, 90, 95 pounds overhead without too much trouble. That's pretty cool. Okay. Next up. Back in the time, I didn't have great access to internet, so I would print off articles on my laser printer because didn't have a lot of access. So I got how to build a punching bag. Didn't do that much boxing. Understanding the shoulder anatomy, that kind of led me to where I am now. Kind of nice articles. Diesel Crew, what really works? Effective training principles. Not a bad article, actually. That one was quite good. Stretches. Everybody's got a page of stretches they printed out. They never looked at twice. But, it's stretching. Lastly, this is the piece de resistance. Okay. The master method of health, strength, and bodybuilding. Lesson 2, Lesson 3, so on. This is Bill Hinburn and William... I think Willoughby worked on this one? I don't know. I know Hinburn did. Bill Hinburn. He runs kind of a record keeper for bodybuilding and lifting and those sorts of things. A lot of great illustrations. Most of it's body weight exercises because, of course... You buy in a course like this, you ain't got a lot of equipment to work with. So, actually pretty good content. If you ain't got nothing else, it's got some interesting things. Lots of interesting things. I don't know where lesson 1 is. I lent that to someone back in 2008. They're 12 years overdue at returning it at this point. So I don't have great hopes for getting lesson 1 back. But overall, the content of that is quite good. And that was purchased as a course. I think it was $40, which works out to $4 per book. Each one's about 20-some pages. So, it's an expensive way of buying a book, I guess. But it ain't bad. It's really good content. So, anything from Bill Hinburn, would recommend. But the rest of it, I look at with a bit of curiosity. It's interesting to see where you are, at this point, 21 years later. And when you think it's a funny thing, because for me, pro wrestling kind of ended when WCW ended. I don't know, for those who care, Vince McMahon's kind of a terrible person. So, what do you... You're working in North America, you'd be working for him. They ain't no good. And, it's not sort of a career you want for most of us. I mean, I don't want to be on the road for, 300-400 days a year. You ain't see your family. You go from one town to another. You get dumped on your head. You get dumped on your neck. Tough luck. You throw down a couple of beers and hit the next town. It's a hell of a life. That's a hard living. You ain't got time for family. These guys get divorced 3, 4, 5 times. I don't know that they have a lot of money And you could probably count on two hands the amount of successful pro wrestlers in the last 20 years who have something to show for it when their career ends. It's a short list, unfortunately. A lot of guys don't, leave with things intact. Of course, you got like somebody like The Rock. Great, good for him, phenomenal person, right? But it speaks to him as a person, not the profession he's in, or was in, I suppose. He left that 20 some years ago. Think about that. Right? We think of The Rock as a successful professional wrestler. He's probably spent as much time acting now as he ever did wrestling. Or I think like that sort of thing going on there. And Mick Foley, I don't know what he's doing right now, but smart guy, very clever guy, but geez, the damage he took to his body, Or I ain't heard much of a lot of them. A lot of them get into trouble. Ric Flair's declared bankruptcy like 3 times. Ain't a way to live. It's not a great. It's a great program, right? Phenomenal entertainment, but I don't know. It's a tough life, and I respect that. I respect that it's not an easy thing for people to do. That kind of went into a ramble. But 20 years later, I look at all of that and I think, what are those things? And granted, some of these things I read 3, 4, 5 times had the big impact. None of them. But they all kind of lead into the tapestry that is life. Okay? You look at who you are now and it is shaped by who you have known and what you've chosen to consume and what you've chosen to spend your time on. So, anytime somebody spends on the physical preparedness, time well spent. Anytime spent learning about things that are real, like your body, psychology of how you take care of yourself, how you treat other people. Those things add up, okay? So, in a big picture, is this the index to the Eddie Slabb psychology? No, not really. But it's interesting to see where you've been and where you are and the things that are still there. So, anyways, hopefully that was as fun for you as it was for me. It was pretty interesting, a lot longer video than I thought. But everybody have a wonderful day. And remember what's important to you. And as always, do keep it close. Because sometimes it's all you got.